Good evening, councillors, ladies and gentlemen. I am Councillor Mohammed Ayub, Chair of Traffic Management Subcommittee. I would like to welcome you to tonight's meeting, which will be using equipment connected to this chamber in Microsoft Teams meeting. This is a live stream available through the Teams, and a recording of this meeting will be uploaded to the council's website afterwards. All right. Thank you. Do I have declaration of interest from anybody here? No? First item? No? Okay. No. And the second item is minutes of previous meeting, which was held on the 13th of September 2023. Can I take these to be correct? Great. Thank you. Item 3 is questions from member of public and councillors. I have no questions from member of public. I have one from Councillor Matt Yeo on Lower Henley Road, Northwest Cycle Lane. Could you come to the chair, Councillor? Yeah, and turn the mic on.
Thank you.
Good evening. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. I won't need as long as that. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak. The question I've got is the advisory cycle lane installed on the northwest side of Lower Henley Road, as well as the advanced stop line at the junction of Henley Road, have recently been removed. The removal was approved by this committee in June 2015, when, following concerns and complaints, it was decided that no further advisory cycle lanes should be implemented for the safety of cyclists, in favour of mandatory cycling lanes where the requirements are met. In February 2019, the Council declared a climate emergency and has since worked consistently to reduce carbon emissions in the borough, with the objective of being at net zero by 2030. A key strategy to reduce these carbon emissions is recognised to be the promotion of a transport modal shift from cars to public transport cycles across the borough. Can the Chair confirm that the administration is committed to get to net zero by 2030, as well as to consult and engage with ward councillors, cycle campaigners and local residents to find a way to allow cyclists to safely use Lower Henley Road, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Yeo. Can I invite Councillor John Ennis, the lead member for Climate Strategy Transport, to answer on my behalf?
Yep, thank you. I'd like to thank Councillor Yeo for his question. The Council remains committed to get to net zero by 2030 and recognise that encouraging a shift to more sustainable travel modes, particularly walking and cycling, plays a key role in achieving this and other priorities of this Council. I understand and appreciate the feedback that the Council has received following the removal of the uphill advisory cycle lane on Lower Henley Road. Officers have advised me that in addition to the 2015 Traffic Management Subcommittee decision to remove this lane, updated national legislation and guidance released since this decision have further confirmed that it should not be reinstated following resurfacing. Officers have committed to reviewing potential solutions for the advanced stop line at the traffic signalised junction with Henley Road. This will be dependent on finding a safe way for cyclists to gain entry to it, while considering that there is a sharp bend in the road on approach. I am advised that due to the available road width and particularly with on-street parking, there is no quick fix for finding a compliant and acceptable uphill cycle lane in addition to the downhill advisory lane. However, it remains a desire to find a solution, accepting that development and delivery of a scheme may require significant funding and alterations to how the road is used. As always, we and officers are happy to work with ward councillors appropriate forums and residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Adams. Councillor Yeo, do you have a supplementary?
I don't, thanks.
Thank you for coming in for your question. Next item we have is petitions. We have two. The first petition we have is on Hemdene House School. And can I call the petitioner, Mrs. Karina Ramchand? Hi, please take a seat. Oh, you're going to stand. Okay, fine. Thank you.
We are the School Council of Hemdene House, and we are putting forward a concern and request for road safety measures in front of our school.
We are here on the behalf of all the members of the school, but the younger ones cannot attend this evening as it is their bedtime. Thank you for giving this opportunity. I am Summer and I am in Year 4. I am Luna and I'm in Year 4.
I am Bethany and I'm in Year 6.
I am Jude and I am in Year 6.
I'm Patrick and I'm in Year 5. We would first like to tell you how this petition concerns started.
Last year, School Council sent out a questionnaire about what safety measures families would like to see and use on our journey to school. They asked the questions on speed crossing signs and cycle lanes. We have the questionnaire and results for you to look at.
We would now like to describe the school's location and hazards at drop-off and collection times.
We are located on a busy and winding road that has many risks. The roads are a bit tight as there are parked cars on both sides, so it can be difficult to see the traffic. Sometimes cars drive very fast on the bend, and this can surprise those that are crossing the road, parents coming out of their parking space, and those riding their bikes.
Hemdene Road is also on a bus route, so when a car comes around the bend very fast and meets the bus, it's another risk. We have photo from Google Earth to show you the bend in the road.
In summary, there are risks for pedestrians, cyclists and drivers.
We would now like to explain the research we did.
Firstly, we had many school council meetings and discussions about this. There were lots of ideas about the most appropriate measure for our location. We then sent out a questionnaire to our family with all our ideas. Next, we wanted to find out about the safety measure around other schools as compared to those around our school.
The school council observed safety measures around other schools, and we walked to Caversham Primary and looked at the measures there.
At first, we looked at the safety measure around our school. We had school signs on either side of the road, heading towards Hemdene House. At the time, the signs were twisted, and we wrote to Mr. James Penman, who acted immediately and asked the local highway inspector to fix these. We would like to say thank you to all those who fixed the signs.
Then we noticed that Caversham Primary had school signs, 20-mile-per-hour speed limit and speed cushions. We thought that this was unfair and that our school and our pupils should have the same measures. Here is a map to show you how close our two schools are.
So we started a petition on change.org. We sent this link out to our families in the school's newsletter, and we delivered letters to our neighbours.
We wanted to see if other people agreed with us. We now have 95 signatures for our petition, so there are many people who agree with us. We even had a neighbour call the school and said they have been trying to do something similar for many years. Here are the letters and the petition.
Before we tell you our final request, we would like to explain how we changed our decision as we thought further about the safety measure about what would be appropriate in front of our school.
We sent our concern and our research to Caversham councillors, Mr. Jacopo Lanzoni and Miss Jan Gavin, who then wrote to James Penman. We thank them for all forwards to us and helping us quickly with this.
Mr. Penman gave us a lot to think about. We were asking for too many things, but we had good reasons for all of the measures.
At first, we were petitioning to get digital speed signs. Mr. Penman wrote to us again. He told us pros and cons of this. We listened and ended the petition to request for speed sessions.
We would now like to give you some homework. We would now like to kindly ask you to consider our request to place speed cushions in front of our school, which will slow the traffic down and reduces risks to those who cross the road.
Thank you for listening to our request.
Right. Thank you for coming in this evening, and we'll take your concerns aboard, and I ask the committee to note this report, and also I'll be asking the officers to do a bit more further work, and we'll report back in future meetings as well. And stay seated. Councillor Ennis, do you want to add something to
Yeah, I
this?
do. I was talking to school, and it's brilliant to see you here. And thank you for your brilliant presentation. You're such a, you must be, the school must be proud of you. You're such a credit to the school. And it's great to see young people getting involved in such important issues like traffic safety and making sure children are okay crossing the road and going to school. That's why we want to take it very important. We want to make, we want to take it as seriously as it deserves. The issue is, of course, as we explained, is we haven't had much detail. I know you've had some good interaction, writing, communication with one of the councillors and with Mr. Penman, but we'd like to get more details about what you're asking for, what you're requesting, what the risks are. Therefore, I think it will be good. It was a great presentation tonight, really good. And what we need to do then is to work with the ward councillors, to say to the school to work with the ward councillors, two of whom are here, and the third one is you've had good communication with Jan. She's an ex-teacher, so she'll understand. I'm sure she will. And then to submit some plans to come to the Traffic Management Committee chair for us to consider, because we want you to go away knowing that we've listened and that we want to do something to help you. I hope that's okay. But thanks ever so much. It was really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Please. Thank you. Right. Moving on to this second petition, which is petition on Holmes Road, traffic plug. Can I call Claire Gibbsy to the chair, please?
How on earth do I follow that? Thank you for giving the opportunity to petition today. Basically, I'm here on behalf of all of the residents, and that's 100% of the residents of Holmes Road in the petition that you would have seen presented to you. So every single one of the people within the team or within the road are behind this request. We come to you basically based on your statutory duties of looking at accident reduction and also prevention, and it's really around the prevention that we're keen to focus on. We've got a mixture of residents, both from pensioners to children to people with disabilities, which obviously are affected quite greatly by some of the incidences which happen in our road. We're also very aware that the situation that we've currently got is the road, or the traffic use of our road, has been increasing dramatically over the years. I've lived on the road for 23 years and have seen that firsthand myself. We've also got major developments which have taken place in and around the area, and for those of you who are unaware, some of the development requests which are going in at Wokingham Borough Council at the moment for the European Weather Centre is obviously going to have a direct effect on this as well. The layout and design of the road, for those of you who go back, which I believe none of you do, to the times when there used to be the tram systems in Reading, it still hasn't changed. So the wide entrance, well, some of you might be. Bless you. You might have seen pictures of it, but the wide entrance, which is at on the Wokingham Road end, is actually a historical basis of when the trams used to be there and turned, and now has been replaced by the number 17 bus, which also uses very similar system of turning and then going back into town. This basically means, however, that the wide width of the road, both the Wokingham Road end and the White Knights Road end, leads to an increase in traffic being able to manoeuvre into what is a residential road at full speed without having to reduce down any of their gears, or without taking any reference or concerns for what might be either coming the other way or crossing the road in front. The vehicles themselves are using the street as a cut through. And again, we've seen a real increase in this over the years. Some of that is down to the apps, driving apps, which basically allow people to look at any blockage which may be in their way and use alternative, maybe unsuitable roads to actually jump traffic. And what we're finding is that those people who are using those sorts of apps and the drivers who are using those sorts of apps are doing so for speed and convenience, not for safety, and with no reference to safety of people around them. And we're also seeing that with the traffic lights on the Wokingham Road and with the roundabout, which is on the bottom of White Knights Road, again, when this leads to congestion, people are looking for alternative measures, and rather than going on the main thoroughfares, which are designed to take those heavier roads or those heavier designs of traffic, are trying to cut through. And with Holmes Road being the first one there, obviously we get the lion's share of the people coming through. We're also seeing that the way in which the layout is structured is actually leading to inappropriate vehicles using the road as well. The number of lorries, buses, coaches, any type of vehicle coming into a residential road. Now, we recognise, and the road very much recognise, that the council has taken this on board over a number of years, and you have all tried to make some type of adjustments to help this. The 20-mile-an-hour signs, which are now on the road, and occasionally putting in traffic warning signs, which are up on posts to show when people are speeding. So I think there's a recognition, and it's very grateful of you trying to make some kind of effort. But the problems which we're having are just increasing. In terms of people trying to walk their children to school, the use of the dance school, which is also on the road, trying to cross the road. We've got a collision of children and rush hour traffic, both at times when you're trying to avoid. And the confusing manoeuvres which take place by vehicles, especially at the Wokingham Road end, for residents who have disabilities or diversity or autistic skills or skill sets. These are really causing some concerns and issues, as trying to just manoeuvre our way around creates problems. There's also a situation of residents trying to use off-road parking and then coming back onto the road when you've got speeding traffic which is coming down. That causes, again, major concerns in terms of potential accidents. There have been a number, and this is, I guess, what maybe not be recorded through, but there have been a number of what would be considered road traffic accidents where it's on vehicle, and that might be parked vehicles where the
Ms. Clare, could you wrap up, please? Because
yes,
the
of course.
time's nearly up.
So in terms of what we're looking for is basically very similar to what's happened in Telford, is a one-way plug. We're not saying turn the road into a one-way road, but actually to look at a one-way plug in order to reduce the amount of traffic which is coming down, to make sure that traffic goes on more suitable roads, which are and the thoroughfares, and to ensure, especially with the fire engine and the fire station at the end of the road, that they can have a safe and clear exit and a safe and clear re-entry into the station. We'd like to put the submission to you. All the documents have been submitted. So we recognise that this comes with a cost, but we also recognise that potential risk will come at a cost as well.
Thank you. Your time's up. Please stay seated. Councillor Ennis, do you want to?
Yeah, come back. Thank you for the petition and thank you for your presentation. That's very clear. And I'm not going to argue with you. Going to go through, we got the recommendations. Is note the content and report, agree to the existing entry on the request for traffic management measures report being updated. So we're going to add this to the lists of measures that we're going to do throughout Reading. It's a list, so it takes a bit of time, but we certainly believe this is important to do that, to add this to the list for it to be done as soon as possible, and also for yourself to be informed of the decisions of the traffic management subcommittee, following publication. We don't need a public inquiry into it. I think you've made a very good case, a very clear case of it, and we need to add it to the list of things that we can agree and move forward and to do. And you've got ward councillors here that can be part of that, but certainly the traffic management committee are very clear what you're saying and would support that going on to the list of things to do to get done. So thanks ever so much for your time, and please reassure the residents that this will be on the list to go forward for actioning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ennis. Councillor White, you indicated.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Claire Gibney for presenting the petition. It was obviously a hard act to follow, as you said. I was disappointed no homework was dished out this time. Maybe next time. I think this one is already on the traffic measures list because it's been raised previously a number of times. I can't remember if it was a petition last time, but I know this has been knocking around for a good few years. And I think the action is that it's going to be updated on the traffic measures list because it's already on there. And unfortunately, it seems that things go onto the list at a fair rate, but they don't come on. They don't get funded and come off the list quick enough. You mentioned the 20 miles an hour and the anti-speeding signs that we are happy to have sort of pushed for and got. The anti-speeding signs, we're happy to keep asking for them to be added to the road, but they don't solve the problem. But I guess that's one thing that we can do. You mentioned the weather centre development that's rumbling through the planning system at the moment. I think that's got a 250 space car park that's planned that gives people an idea of the scale of the traffic that's going to be coming to that area and the need for some measures to improve road safety is only increasing. A plug similar to Salford, I think, is a very good suggestion. It always comes back to how is it going to be funded. I noticed Darren Cook sitting in the corner, and I don't know, Mr. Cook, if you're able to comment on. Am I right in thinking that you have been liaising with Wokingham Council on the weather centre planning application?
Councillor,
through the chair, obviously.
Councillor White, can I just, Councillor White?
Yes, Chair.
I just ask you that we're not having a debate on this. You made a point. We're going to take this aboard. The officers are going to do the work, and we'll come back and report at the future meeting. Yeah. Please.
Okay, I just thought as Mr. Cook's in the meeting, he might be able to comment, but through you, obviously, Chair, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Clare. Thank you for coming in tonight, and we'll take this, and the committee notes the report, and we will do further work and get back to you on this. Thank you. Thank you. Next item we have is item 5. This is parking restriction at the former retail park exit of Chatham Street. And I have Darren Cook, please.
Thank you, Chair. This report sets out the proposals linked to the development at the former Wick site located between Welldale Street and Chatham Street, and includes the provision of a no loading at any time restriction within the vehicular exit onto Chatham Street related to the retail park that was previously occupied by Wickes and Iceland. The inclusion of the loading restrictions was necessary to ensure, or is necessary to ensure, that indiscriminate parking or loading does not occur along the Chatham Street frontage of the development, causing obstructions to the flow of traffic and the intervisibility between pedestrians and drivers at the zebra crossing located at the Chatham Street roundabout. Funding for the statutory consultation comes from the Section 278 Highway Works Agreement required to facilitate the closure of the historic exit from the retail park, whilst retaining some vehicle egress. The design ensures that vehicles can exit, but the area is secured by way of bollards, making the ramp mainly for the use of pedestrians. The implementation of the waiting restrictions will be undertaken by the developer. We are asking the committee to permit officers to carry out the statutory consultation. We need to advertise the alterations as detailed in the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Page, you indicated.
Yes, Chair, just to briefly support this, this is much needed. There were 4 vehicles parked there over the weekend, and it's clearly unacceptable that this area should be blocked off by parked vehicles. So the parking restrictions are urgently needed. They're going to be paid for by the developers, is made clear on page 30. So let's crack on with this. I can imagine the only objections will be from the miscreants who abused that area. So let's get cracking with this and get the lines down, hopefully in the early new year. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Page. Can I ask there's no more indication, can I ask the committee to note the report and also agree with the recommended actions? The committee agree? Yeah, thank you. Item 6 is a request for traffic management measures. Can I ask Mr. James Penman to introduce the item, please?
Thank you, Chair. So we've got three appendices to this document. So we've got starting with Appendix 3, which is the primary list, principal list, which contains all of the entries that were previously agreed. Tonight we're asking for decisions on Appendix 1 and 2. One of the new requests, so we've received since the last update back in March, and number 2 are amendments that we're proposing. Some of them, I'm happy to say, we're proposing they get removed because either the works have been completed or they've been funded and will be installed, and some are, like we had earlier, amendments proposed since we've received petitions or other adjustments that are needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Penman. I know we have 2 speakers on there, but when I come to get to the Abbott's Walk, on that, I will call those 2 speakers. Councillor Mark Keeping, you indicate?
This is about the items going on the plan, isn't it? It's about the items going on the plan. Or am I talking the wrong part?
Appendix 1 we should be on.
We're going to start off with Appendix 1, Councillor.
Yeah. I've got a comment about the item on line number 5. If you look at the item that's actually at line number 1, it says concerns about vehicles speeding in the area, making it difficult to cross. When I put item number 5 request in, I did also make the point about speeding, but that hasn't been included there.
Mr. Penn?
My apologies. If the subcommittee is happy to do so, then we can include that on the list with an amendment to include traffic calming, speed calming measures also. So apologies, Councillor Keeping, that that's not been captured.
Thank you. So the first we have is Caversham pedestrian crossing. Yeah, happy with that? All good. Second we have is in Coley, which is a 20-mile zone, traffic calming in Edenham Crescent, the entire road, which is retaining. The committee is happy with that?
Yeah, happy with that, thank you.
Okay. Third we have is Emma Green, 20-mile zone, Courtney Drive, entire road, request for 20-mile speed calming. We're going to retain that, keep that on the list. Yeah. Next we have is
Carry on, please. So it's a question on number 4.
Okay. Number 4, Case Grove and Redland, traffic calming on Northumberland Avenue between George Palmer School.
So I think this is one that came from me because a resident mentioned that he was really concerned about speeding across the roundabout. There had been incidents, no injuries, but incidents. And I'm just commenting about the roundels, as I believe roundels could be painted on the road, not necessarily vertical. So I just wanted to comment that I think potentially it was crossed wires and it could be just added onto the road and still have an effect on traffic calming. Thank you.
Mr. Penn, yeah. Next we have is Kentwood and Norwood pedestrian crossing near the junction of Romney Lane. Committee is happy with that, to retain that? Yeah.
Subject to the amendment that we just discussed.
Thank you, Mark. Councillor Keane. Park Ward, pedestrian crossing Palmer Park Avenue near the church. Councillor White, happy to keep that? Thank you. Next item we have is 2 in Redlands. First one is no entry, Devovia Road at junction of Carnarvon Road. This is to upgrade the signage and enforcement. Are we happy with that, to keep that on there? Yep. Also, the second one is the alteration existing on Redland Road and Morgan Road, the whole entire ring. Happy with it? Keep that on there. That's... Sorry,
Chair.
Yep.
So I would like to make a small addition to this one as well. It's not specifically mentioned, but there are some build outs on Redlands Road when you're heading downhill, which cycles can't pass through. I know when it was built, 1 you can pass through and the following 2 you can't. And as a cyclist going down there, I find it quite dangerous. I'm having to go out into the path of oncoming cars, even regardless of priority. Sometimes this priority is for downwards traffic and the cars still keep coming up. So even if the priority is removed, it would still be helpful to allow cycles to pass through the build outs by removing the angle that's on them, just making a small cut through, and then cycles will not have to veer out into the path of cars. So I'm just wondering if we can add that on to the list of many things for that.
Thank you. This was intended to be a sort of short summary of the bigger report that came to the subcommittee earlier. So yeah, I take your point that there are a few things that are perhaps over summarised. I think just to be clear, I think some of the desire, certainly in the meeting we had in the report, was the removal of the priority feature. So that would be build outs and all. But yeah, certainly the report acknowledged that there's a desire to make changes there, and we just intended this to be a summary and link back to that report for full details as well. But yeah, completely take the point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council. Next item we have is in Southcote, traffic calming, Kennethworth Avenue. Councillor Ennis.
Yeah, happy to retain, but also to make the point that the residents, which is a private adopted road, were happy to be involved in the costs, were being realistic. If they're asking for something, that they were happy to be involved in that. So all the costs will not come all to the council, but they're prepared to pay their fair share. So if that could be recognised, that would be good. Cheers, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ennis. Sounds good. Next, we have 2 in Thamesville pedestrian crossing on Carnarvon Drive, and also closure on Milford Road, southern end. Happy to retain those.
Yeah, Chair, happy to go with the officer recommendation. Thank you.
Next item I have is in Tarless Ward, 20 mile zone, Westwood Glen, the entire road. Happy to retain that, Councillor. Yeah, thank you. Right. Now we have next is the James. Do you want to introduce? You already said restrictions for traffic measures, Appendix 2. Normally, if you had a look at the papers, I'd take these by wards, and they have been reported to the March committee. So this is an update report. So I'll go straight to the wards. First 2 we have in Abbey. Councillor Page, you agreed to remove those officers? Yeah, James, you got those. All right. And the next I have is in Caversham High, traffic calming pedestrian crossing footway, Kidmore Road. Office retain.
Yeah, agreed, thanks.
Yep, agreed to retain that. The next we have is in Cadesgrove, 20 mile, traffic calming, Alpine Street, entire road. You happy with that? Councillor McKenna? Agreed to retain that. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Adele. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a question on the next one, line 5, the Reading Station subway, as it notes that it was agreed in March 2023 by Traffic Management Subcommittee. Have we got a date for when this is happening?
Mr. Penn.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Apologies for my technical failure. I haven't got an exact date yet, so I'll catch up with colleagues, but I understand there have been some more dialogue between Network Rail and Highways and some amendments that were needed to what they were doing there and what they initially planned to do. But I think as soon as the ceiling work is done, the intention is it gets open with the prohibition removed and all the signing correct. But we'll get some updated dates for you, and I think they should get those any moment. So. Absolutely.
I want to come in and reinforce that, because it's good that you know, it's in Thames Ward, which is a local aspect, but it's more than a local aspect. It's town-wide, and you know, I'm not saying we've got our fingers burnt with Network Rail, but if we could get the details, I know you're doing that. I know officers are doing that. Let's get the details of the plans, and then to ensure that we can, as much as possible, stick with that, because that's a very important through route for pedestrians and cyclists. And I know you're doing that, James, but just to reinforce that publicly as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ennis. Don't see him. Next item is 6, Caversham High, Summer Green pedestrian crossing and traffic calming measures, Rotherfield Way.
Yeah, there was just a minor admin amendment to this. Rotherfield Way covers 3 wards, Caversham Heights, Summer Green and Caversham. So could we have Caversham Ward added?
Okay with that, Mr. Thank you. Item 7 is Park Ward. We have 2 in Park Wards, Bollard and of Green Road closure. Officers' recommendation to remove that. The work has been completed. Councillor White, you happy with that? Yeah? Okay. And the second one is 20-mile enhancement in Newtown area, the entire Coventry Road, Chongri. Oh, retain that with the amendment. You happy with that? Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Next item we have is in Redlands, pedestrian crossing on Upper Redlands Road. There's St. John's College. Happy, Councillor Wilcox?
Because that's been funded.
Item 10 is entirely speed calming traffic management measures in Conway Close, entire length.
Yeah, Chair. I think definitely keep this. I think as the comment says from officers, definitely some further investigations need to refine this measure if and when we come to it, because it's quite a broad suggestion at this time about what this could be. But I think there's certainly some work that can be done there, but it would need to be a bit tightened up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Right, we'll move on to now for traffic measures, Appendix 3. And I have the first is in Abbey Ward, which is the Abbott Walk, and I have a speaker there. Can I call them to the chair? Mr. Paul Moore and Andy Whisker.
Good evening, Chair and
Good
members
evening.
of the committee.
Welcome. You have 5 minutes on there. Are you both going to speak or, sorry, I just want to clear.
Yes, we're both going to speak.
So you have 2.5 minutes.
Thank you.
2.5 minutes each, please.
Thank you. My neighbour and I, Paul, live on Abbott's Walk, a charming street that runs parallel to Forbury Park, extending from the Crown Court down to Reading Abbey. Despite being a dead end and clearly marked with double yellow lines, Abbott's Walk has become a thoroughfare for vehicles, from cars and taxis to trucks, scooters and even buses. We are here today to request measures aimed at restricting vehicle access on Abbott's Walk for 4 reasons. 1, for improved safety. 2, to limit the risk of damage to public property. 3, the nuisance to residents day and night. And 4, for improved cultural value. And I'd like to provide further insight into these 4 reasons. Improved safety. Our community has witnessed several near misses, whether it's cyclists racing through the Reading Abbey Gateway Arch or children playfully darting out from the nursery onto the street. During events in Forbury Park, the street can be host to 8 or more vehicles legally parked with blue badges, but nevertheless obstructing access for fire and ambulance services should they be needed by residents. One alarming incident involved a double-decker bus blindly reversing all the way down Abbott's Walk after hours of parking for a church ceremony, posing a risk to pedestrians in the area. This scenario is a regular occurrence. LGV drivers often find themselves stuck at the end of Abbott's Walk, leading to difficulties in turning or resorting to blind reversals down the street, often at peak pedestrian times. This brings me on to my next point about damage to public property. Last November, we provided the council with photographic evidence of a large truck damaging a fence at Forbury Park while attempting to turn. This resulted in the council successfully claiming insurance for the costly repairs. Unfortunately, these incidents are not isolated. Several years ago, our property suffered significant damage to the railings due to a similar incident. 3, the nuisance. Firstly, vehicles use the area outside our properties to turn constantly throughout the day and evening. And secondly, drivers are aware that they can park or wait without being fined or disturbed because of the hidden nature of the street. Taxi drivers have discovered Abbott's Walk as a convenient place to wait for the next fare. A recent chat with one of the drivers summed the problem up nicely. "It's quiet here and I'm not disturbed by the cars," he told me. Despite repeated requests to the nursery, parents continue to use Abbott's Walk instead of the nursery car park, often with engines running for 10 minutes or more during winter months. I appreciate the strain on resources, but in 2021, just 6 parking tickets were issued on Abbots Walk, highlighting the pressing need for alternate measures. And finally, improved cultural value. Restricting vehicle access is not just about improving the lives of residents, but since Forbury Park and Reading Abbey are 2 of our prized cultural assets, then it stands to reason that making the area more pedestrian friendly would contribute to a more inviting environment for visitors who often start or end visits to the area on Abbots Walk itself.
I'm just going to just finish that off, really what Andy has said, and I've lived there with my family for 20 years, and the issues Andy's describing have always been there, along with an awful lot of antisocial behaviour, which I and Councillor Page have discussed through various forums over the years. But the issues have steadily grown with more cars on the road and more public activity in this area. It's a fantastic part of Reading and has developed very quickly over recent years since the refurbishment of 3 Forbury Gardens, the reopening of the Abbey and the Abbey Quarter generally. Other than the unpleasantness for us as residents, these vehicles and the users, their quantity, their speed, their noise and pollution present a very real impact on this part of Reading, this jewel of Reading, and its people, particularly the risk to health and safety. It's a whole other matter, electric scooters and bikes, I'm sure that you would have discussed, but these are now prevalent in this area, buzzing backwards and forwards, and we know what's going to happen eventually. So we as residents just want to be, as far as the measures go, these are to be discussed, I'm sure. We just want to be part of those discussions, have our input as we experience it all on a daily basis. Pedestrianisation may not be the complete solution and or maybe only part of a number of other solutions. We think it's just a case of deterring, slowing, limiting the vehicles somehow. Stop these cars thinking they can just whiz down there. There's nothing to tell them not to go down there. They think it's a through route. So signage, etc. So we look forward to what may be proposed to deter and slow and limit these vehicles in Abbots Walk.
Thank you. Councillor Page, you indicated.
Yeah, Chair, I just wanted, well, thank you for the update. The notes here are accurate up to a point, but the issue that was just touched on at the very end is the very inadequate signage that is there at the moment, and what is required and what I would ask to be added is for officers to look at some improved signage which would not cost the 15,000 for the other works that are described. And if I can just turn my screen round, the only thing that there is a no entry sign about the size of this screen on a lamppost on the wrong side of the road, and that is the only on the, yeah, and further back. Precisely, but this is inadequate even though it's in the wrong location. But that's the other point, that what we need is a decent size sign that makes it clear that this is no entry cul-de-sac. Now I know there are some drivers who are so obsessed with sat-navs, but no sat-nav should be indicating a route through there, unless of course they think that the Abbey Gateway is accessible, which it isn't. As it happens, I was down there this morning witnessing some of the manoeuvres that were being referred to when I was awaiting the arrival of the Duke of Gloucester, whom I was showing around wearing another capacity in the Abbey Gateway and the Abbey ruins. And in that waiting time, there were lorries who were doing the manoeuvres that have just been described in that relatively short time. So there is a problem. It needs to be addressed at 2 levels: improved signage and then the proposed traffic regulation order, which I would suggest is what's required so that we can actually bollard off Abbots Walk and have a drop bollard that will allow legitimate access but would prevent the sort of problems that have been described. And that was all, Chair. So clearly this is a list of stuff that's already on the schedule, but I thought it important to emphasise the request for some improved and appropriate signage. And I'd be grateful if officers could minute that so that at the very least that can be done sooner ahead of any possible TRO. Thank you.
Mr. Penman, you noted this.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor. We will minute that and we'll take that away. Thank you.
Right, thank you for coming in today, and can take a seat or stay for the rest of the meeting if you wish to. Right. So can I ask the subcommittee to note those? And normally this is a note list we took by wards, so we're quite happy with all the Abbey wards to continue with. Councillor Page, yeah? No, I know. Can we note the report? That's what I'm saying. Can we note the report and agree with the subcommittee? Okay, fine. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. The next item we have is item 8, which is, can I ask the member of public and also press to leave the building due to the Local Government Act of 1972. Member of press and public will be excluded during this following items on the agenda. It is likely a disclosure of information and confidentiality on paragraph part 1 section 212A of the Act. And also, could you switch off your mics and everything? Yeah.